Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be talking about the Midseason Madness tournament results, and you can kind of guess of who won. It was pretty convincing. First of all, let's have a look at the participants, and then we'll have a look at the results. So obviously, here are the results, even though, well, you can kind of already see the results, but either way. Here are the teams are Atlanta Rain, Houston Outlaws, Boston Uprising, Florida Mayhem, Hungry Spark, and Assault Inferno. There's the teams, and here are also the players as well. First off with the bracket now. The first one I'm pretty sure was the Hungry Spark versus Florida Mayhem, and that went to the wire. That was a very, very good match. Obviously, just like I mentioned in my team's video, the Spark was playing somewhere else because of visa issues, I'm pretty sure, or I'm pretty sure it was visa issues, but they couldn't always, well, they could actually play at Seoul, sadly, so they had to play online. And they actually played pretty well against the Mayhem. 3-2 victory for the Hungry Spark, and Shy again MVP. So it was pretty good for the Spark, but it doesn't really go well for the Spark, though, throughout in this tournament. The Houston Outlaws, though, they started with a bang, as they beat out the Boston Uprising, 3-0 victory for them. Pretty easy victory. I was kind of expecting the Outlaws to kind of sweep through the Uprising, and it was Pelican again MVP for the Outlaws. Next up, the Atlanta Rain. They win a pretty convincing victory against the Hungry Spark, a 3-0 victory for the Rain. Chayo again MVP. Once again, not really surprised about this one, but we'll talk about the lower bracket quarterfinals a bit. The Houston Outlaws, they also swept past the Soul Inferno, a 3-0 victory for the Outlaws. Shootgame MVP. Once again, not really surprised by this one. One thing I was pretty surprised about is how much the East teams struggled against the West teams. Like, here, the Florida Mayhem, they beat out the Soul Inferno. Yes, it was a very close victory for the Mayhem, a 3-2 victory for them, but I wasn't really expecting it. I wasn't expecting that like, the East teams to be struggling that much. Checkmate obviously get MVP, but it was a bit of a surprise for me. And then the same in this match as well, like, for the Boston Uprising versus the Hungry Spark. I was also a bit of a surprise here. Depending as well, I was kind of expecting the Spark to really push the Uprising to that limit. But they really didn't. I mean, the Easy's were kind of disappointing. To be fair to the Hungry Spark, they always playing remotely. They weren't actually in the event. But still, either way, I was a bit disappointed on how both East teams performed. Yes, it was a very close game, especially for the Soul Inferno and the Florida Mayhem, but I was expecting at least one of the East teams to at least win against the West teams. I mean, obviously, yes, the Spark did win against the Mayhem, but I was expecting a bit more from the East teams. I was expecting them to at least make it to the lower bracket final, probably, especially the Hungry Spark of how well they've been performing in their region, and also because that I wasn't really expecting that much from them. I should say, I was expecting a lot more from them. Just like I keep saying, I wanted the Hungry Spark especially to at least make it to lower bracket final. If not, maybe what's the next one? The lower bracket semifinals at least. But when you get when you get knocked out that quickly, it's a bit of a worry, especially if you're a Hungry Spark or Soul Inferno fan. That kind of also shows me as well that the West teams are a lot more powerful and 10 times better than the East teams. Granted, yes, the teams in Florida Mayhem, the Boston Uprising, both teams have amazing players. But I was still a bit disappointed in both East teams, I'll be honest. Lower bracket semifinals now. The Florida Mayhem, they win a pretty easy win against the Boston Uprising, a 3-0 victory for them. Someone gained MVP. Not really surprised about this one, I'll be honest. It's just, yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised, I'll be honest, when the Boston Uprising was the first team to actually qualify to Midseason Madness, and then obviously later the Florida Mayhem also qualified as well. But I was a bit surprised, I'll be honest. I was just a bit surprised because I thought the Mayhem were better than the Boston Uprising, and I mean they are better, I'll be honest. A very close win for the Atlanta Rain to lock themselves into the playoffs against the Houston Outlaws, the Stalker again MVP. I was going to say, the Stalker had a game. He really showed up in this game and the grand final. Dong Hack as well, he did a phenomenal job. And it also shows as well that Stalker and Lip are a horrifying DPS duo. Like, it is scary of how well both of those players are. So I was a bit worried for them. For the Outlaws, but at the same time, Pelican and Happy, that's also a scary DPS lineup. And they did show it here against the Florida Mayhem, a 3-1 victory for the Houston Outlaws against the Florida Mayhem. Even though Fearless got MVP, shout out to Happy, who did a sick shot on Rialto. I don't know who it was the two. Maybe Merit, maybe? I'm not really too sure, but that was a beautiful hook shot. Well, yeah. Hookshot from Happy. But yeah, I mean, once again, I was kind of expecting it. I was also expecting as well to be a grand final match. The Atlanta Reign versus the Houston Outlaws. And it was a 4-1 victory for the Atlanta Reign. By the time of me making this video, obviously the MVP has not been announced yet. But you can maybe say one of them Stalker. I think definitely Stalker is definitely on the running for MVP. You can maybe even say Dong Hack. He had a game as well. He was phenomenal. And I don't know, you could probably maybe say everyone, like Lip, Chayo, Fielder, all those 5 players had massive impact in this game. And the Outlaws, they were just, they weren't really up to par compared to the Atlanta Reign. It was like a different Houston Outlaws compared to the upper final Houston Outlaws, if that makes sense. They were a bit of a different team. They were struggling a bit more. I guess as well, it also shows that the Reign are very good at punishing mistakes and stuff. But I was expecting a bit much more from the Outlaws. I thought it was going to be like a crazy, like 4-3 match, I'll be honest. That's what I thought. Just like in the upper bracket final, but I was kind of wrong about that, which I'm pretty disappointed about. But that is Midseason Madness. Congratulations to the Atlanta Reign for winning the Midseason Madness tournament. I'm not too sure the Spring Sage Wikipedia is there, but I'm going to double check. When I say Spring Stage, I'm going to say Summer Stage. And as I was looking at like the VOD from the Overwatch League YouTube channel and even Twitter itself on the Overwatch League Twitter account, I could not find anything about the Summer Stage. So I don't know when the Summer Stage is probably going to be back on. I have no idea. I'm trying to think as well, because obviously Overwatch League is based off mainly in America, in North America. So I'm pretty sure by now it's summer, or maybe it's July or August, somewhere around there. That might be when the Summer Stage starts. I have no idea. But we're probably going to have a couple weeks, if not maybe a couple months off Overwatch for a bit. So if you're obviously here for Overwatch, I'm going to try and maybe make some good content maybe on Overwatch. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, that's really about it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. And obviously, like, comment, subscribe. It will really help me. Goodbye.